Whatever you want. Okay, when I judge not. But I. First thing.
I grew up in nobody else. I usually
Yeah, but there's all these. I mean, we grew. Where? Oh. It just changed.
Exactly. I don't know why. How I'm just getting it.
Oh, that's
one.
it's like,
All the information about it. When we get to that, also,
goes great. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's different than my. I do know, but I saw it wasn't classified. This is mostly like for the kids to play with. I mean, I'll probably pick some. You know, if you get those paint cans with plastic bottom, you probably put.
Oh, yeah.
You can make the whole kit gallon of paint. There you go. Real slow. All right.
You need custom built one.
There you go.
You've seen those mixer lids and rocker.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out if I can hear that. So it doesn't look like
So, like that.
Last week, our last. Something like that. Anything above 1 feet, so that's probably not the spot. No, I'm starting out with this. Everybody.
The heck?
That is. It's hard.
I was gonna put my top right there.
Half my.
Do you have a meter?
Yeah. I'm not running to see. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that. Yeah, after all the work I did, we started getting. But after things hit me, settled down, sidewalk in our yard. And so it turned out to be more of the black than I was. And so I was thinking that happened under the side, like tear it out. You guys were like yeah. And so like when I dig in the backyard, I saw the house and I buried
I met another.
It's a big.
And I was.
Our two criteria, they put an entire lot out of that. But it was one house, out from the back of the house, where I. And then generation. I put a French drain for out and built it up with.
Yeah. And like, just so a lot of crowd, that means you know that we're talking about small shop. If we've got people. And that's what we're gonna talk tonight. Yeah, before we start, anybody new? Oh, wow. How'd you find out about what name? How'd you find out about us?
Yeah, my name's Daniel. I don't remember how we got it. I've been on your mailing list for probably 5 years. Void of pandemic in the middle of that, of course, but still.
They finally showed us.
Yeah, well, no, and I like, it sounds like many people, I heard the topic was like, that sounds like something they should.
What kind of woodwork could you do?
So honestly, the most woodworking I've done has been building the shop to do woodworking in, the rough carpentry, right? Not so much.
So this is a perfect use.
Right. So,
I have Curtis Days and I was told about this job from Tony. He's in my neighborhood. The woodworking that I'm also relatively new to it, but CNC is probably the one thing that I'm now starting to do a little bit more of, and so needing to know about how to do dust collection.
That's awesome. What kind of CNC?
Well, right now, the only thing I've done is set up my shop for the most part. I've done like some 3D.
What do you have for CNC? Do you have one?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's so it's on the screen. It's Jim 430 Shimatsu 430.
Okay.
The
Saint Smart?
Saint Smart, yeah.
I think I have the same thing, the 4030, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
There's like, to me, there's like three schools of woodworking. One is the people that only use canvas, hand plane, carving, this and that. And then there's people that do traditional, which would include lathes, table saws, and this and that. And there are these idiots that have a CNC. But they don't all, usually we sort of sit in the same room, but we did this in, but. There's somebody else who was new. Yeah. And my name's John. And I think I found out about this group because, after I retired looking for something to do, I started going here. I'm on staff here now. So I don't do a lot of woodworking because I'm on staff here. Just make it feel good. How many people here are retired?
I can't wait.
Yeah.
How many?
Do people want to be retired? Yeah. Okay, so. Well, we're gonna get into show and tell, but before that, have this on the screen. If you're interested or not, this guy Thomas Block, he's a great teacher. He's on a couple of different. Yeah, is he West Point? He publishes there, but he's ignored on the staff. Contributor. Anyway, he's really good.
He also has a great website called Epic Woodworking.
Okay.
That's his site.
I feel like I've seen that YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on YouTube, but he also has like this whole community where you can pay $200 a year and take all his courses.
Yeah,
They're all included. You can order plans for cheap and life-size plans.
So anyway, April 27th, he's gonna be at the Michigan Woodworker Guild there in Livonia. They're gonna be at the Livonia Senior Center. There's not gonna be any equipment running because, it's, but he'll be there with presentation, examples and this and that. I haven't seen him in person, I've seen him on YouTube, but I understand he's great.
He's a really first-class teacher
So,
and a master woodworker.
so if you wanna, you've gotta get into a whole bunch of different things about, I'm gonna go just because I don't ever plan to make a chair. But I kind of like some of the things got on here about what. Anyway, to be interesting. But even if you see somebody making something, a good teacher that making something that you're not gonna ever make, you're gonna learn something, so. Anyway,
There is a chair making class for a weekend, a simple chair. That's at Sam Beaufort College of Woodworking. And it happens to be the weekend before this.
Okay.
And Tony and I have signed up for that. I don't know if anybody else is interested. Yeah. But we'll, I think it's just great. We'll take a class and chair making, and then I'm gonna hear him talk about
all the mistakes.
Yeah, how to fix the mistakes. That's the important part.
Steve, can you, is that up on, can you post that to the site, to the forum?
Yeah, we'll put it on the site.
So print it out.
I gotta pass this around for right now.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll put up. I'll put it up on the site, And, okay, show and tell. Anybody got show and tell tonight?
I'll do this. I'll do this later, but I'll. The show and tell's the one on the table. I did a show and tell last month, and somebody asked me about, what I used to, I can't remember who asked, what I used to put the, yeah, the hardware.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah, you posted online, that's what I sent you.
And I've got some to pass around. So basically it's this piece, and I don't know if you can see very well, but there's like a slot here, and it's a piece of metal goes in that. And that's what keeps it really from wiggling. So if you just had the screws in there, after a while they wiggle. That's the problem with most of the hardware. And I cut this with my biscuit maker, my biscuit machine. And then I chiseled the ends just a little bit. This is actually a picture from their website. This thing is to hold the slats, but I didn't order those. On the bed I made, I just put a wood, one by one piece of wood across the inside of the rail and make the slats on that. It's from bearshollowsupply.com, and they have a store on Etsy. So, and I passed around some things. Again, you can take a picture with your phone. And let's see the next slide.
And that looks like that's a knockdown, so that you can remove that.
Right, yeah, absolutely. You just lift the rail up,
You're joined with, work.
and the headboard and the footboard come off. Yeah, right. So this is a table I made. My wife wanted a round table for a study. This is the plans of this are on Woodsmith, and they've got one of these pieces of brass with this drawing on it. And I didn't have graph paper the right size, so I just threw it on a piece of wood. And it's already double the piece that I cut, but you can see the shape of it, and I just threw it freehand, but following the graphs. Next one.
Can you guys share the screen?
So here it is, traced onto a piece of wood, and I put this up here. I numbered the pieces that I cut out because later on you're going to use the cutoff to clamp it together. The clamping is difficult, and so this lets me know that this piece goes with this. So this is the good part. This is the cutoff that I'm going to use. Actually, maybe this piece that I'm going to use for the clamp. So let's give you a straight edge. Next one. Oh, remember. So this is going to be the shelf. That shelf. It's a shelf. And I was checking to see that this piece fit in there as well as I could get it. I tried to do it a couple of ways. I used a jigsaw to get in there. I used a 3/4 inch bit on the router table to get in there. Next one. So here's double stick tape. This is the piece that's cut rough here. I use a jigsaw. I ordered a nice jigsaw when I come in. And I just do this with a jigsaw. And I'm going to stick it to that and then take that to the router table. This one.
And what ribbon or something?
Yeah, I'll show you the door when you get there. When you get there. So this is kind of how it's 4 pieces, 2 like this and 2 at right angles. And what happens is you've got to put 4 dowels in here, dowels over here, and you've got to do that glue up while the shelf is in place. So it was complicated. If I didn't have Aaron on with another set of hands, it would have been impossible. So here you can see this is actually a combination of the jigsaw and the router bit, but it's round. So here it is kind of cleaned up. And here's a close up on it. Next slide. This is the shelf now. So you can cut off with a knee with the other cut off. So like this shows the 3/4 by 3/4 inch things. And the four legs are there. This one. So this is just a dry bed. This is 2 of the legs and the shelf. And then here's this is still a dry bed, but this is 4 of the legs. And the shelf, you can see how it's going to come together. The shelf is not glued in so that the wood can expand. Next one. So this is a glue up for the tabletop. So probably when it's able to do without air and salt. That's one. We had a plate. Put those like this. This is the next one. So there are 4 little triangles that go between the legs under the tabletop. And that helps keep the legs square and reinforces what the legs are doing. And sanding it was difficult. Would have been very difficult without this, what do you call this, a ghost foot? Yeah, so I was just showing how I managed to trap it so I could sand there we are, sanding. Here are my dowels. I didn't point at the ends of the dowels. For those to slide in. Are you really just showing that Bridge City? Yeah, we had a few hairy moments in the next one. So this is showing now putting 4 legs together, and in order to do that, you can see this is the cutoff that's clamped to the mating piece, and the shelf's got to be off the end of the table, right? So the shelf goes from here down to here. You know, visualize that. The next one. That's just kind of showing the same thing. So here it is now flipped over. Here are these triangles I was talking about. And so you know, you've got these 2 pieces that I showed you that are doweled together, and then you have to put dowels the other way through the glue line into the other 2 legs, and then the top fits on that. And I bought a jig for this, which I'd never used before, and I had a new router, and we basically made a little hole in the center, the bottom of the top, and we routed this. And this is 6/4 wood, and we routed down maybe half an inch, and then we took it to the table to finish up. And it wasn't all that easy, I'll tell you. It takes a little skill, and I wound up doing this 4 times. So this is a 24-inch top that finished at 23 inches. This thing rounded an inch off. All right, I'm not supposed to tell you guys that, right? We're all friends here.
Game is
All right, next one.
I'd never do something like that.
You never make mistakes. You have to make your living room properly. Yeah. So this is the glue up. This is my sort of finishing area. I use Armor Seal, and what I do with Armor Seal is I use squeeze bottles and I fill them up to 8 ounces, but then I fill up another 1.5 ounces with ink thinner. So I diluted it a little bit, and I put the finish on with these sponge things. I tried a lot of different things, and that's what works the best for me. And then in between coats, I take the sponge, and it just fits in an 8-ounce mason jar. And that's just filled with, tape thinner. And I put the sponge in there. And then, you can't see it, so it's off the picture, but I have this, sort of chemistry stand that you can put a funnel in, and then I put a filter in that, you know, conical shape filter. And then when I take this and put the jar underneath, slowly take out it while I'm squeezing the sponge and put it on the top and squeeze all the excess out. And then I squirt some of this on the sponge, and then that's what I use for finishing. And I sand in between. I sanded this to 320, and then I got 3 coats on the legs and the shell that I sanded 400, 800, and 1500. The top I've got 5 coats on, and it's sanded to 2000 and then 3000 between the coats. Just a very light sanding. So there's the top, here's my router, here's the jig. This goes in that little hole that you saw. Next slide. And so this is now flipped over, right? Now this is the good side. Next one. It's just a close up. Next one. So there's, somebody asked me about the bit. So this is it's a upcut and a downcut. I think it's called a compression. Bit. And man, is that if you just aren't concentrating or you aren't very good at this, you'll just chew up a piece. And you'll see I've got this screwed in, and I found for me, if I put the tabletop against this first and then slowly ease it against the bit, I just did much better than if I was trying to do it totally freehand.
Do you have a pin for your router table?
Yeah, this got
Oh, there's the pin. Okay, sorry.
Which is the picture flip? Because the pin looks like it's on the outside, or am I looking at it wrong?
It was just easier. There are machines over here, and it's easier to stand right here.
Yeah,
Okay, but this is the front of the table.
it is, okay.
So I think there's a close up. There's the pin. And there's this monster compression there.
Which one is that?
What's the thing you get ads from all the time?
Infinity.
It's
Infinity Mega.
looks like it's a mega.
Yeah.
Right, it's an Infinity Mega.
I have the smaller one, but that's fine.
And so what you're using is you're using the jig to make the first ½ inch cut around. But then now you've got a ½ inch that you can put this against, right? And it's got a bearing on the bottom as well as the top. So you flip it over, and part of it you're using the top bearing, part of it you're using the bottom bearing. And you've got to be quite careful about what brain direction you're going in.
So I was wondering, I was assuming, you have the follower bearing, surely you wouldn't be able to overcut, but is that, sorry.
It bounces. You can bounce if you're not careful.
Yeah, it just, if you go a little bit the wrong way, it just rips it out of your hands.
And I'm sorry to correct it, but I'm just wondering, you said it ended up undersized because things went wrong, but it couldn't be strictly that the bit just wandered further in, but yeah, okay. Threw it across the room or just gouged it.
Throw it across the room, it just gouged out my edge. And then I had to take another 1/8 of an inch off, and then another 1/8 of an inch off. So, and of course, if you're taking an 1/8 of an inch off, it's really 1/4 of an inch because you've got a circumference.
So you have a practice it.
How did you support the piece wider than your table? Just by hand, yeah.
Wasn't this piece pretty heavy?
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, it is.
And it still jumped?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah. You wouldn't believe the force of that ripping it out of your hands. You're like, what happened?
So I've been doing a lot of routing, and I have the smaller version of it, and I've never, only when I do really little cutting boards do I get issues. Because if I get into something any heavier, it doesn't jump.
And maybe that's the problem. Maybe I was trying to use something too big.
Or the speed of the router.
Yeah,
Your
router
router
speed
speed
was
higher than you need.
What?
Slow down your router.
We did. It was running about half speed.
Yeah.
maybe even more.
Still maybe even more. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a wide bit that you've got, so
Mhm.
there's a lot of speed at this, you know,
Yeah.
the comfort.
Yeah, but instead of being at the top of the range, I was in the middle, but maybe I should have gone even lower.
Yeah, I think I would have.
What size router do you have underneath?
What size?
Yeah,
router?
what router do you have underneath?
Oh, underneath?
Yeah.
It's a four.
Okay.
You.
Three and a half
horse.
Three horse?
I had a router table that kind of fell apart. And so I bought a nice one from Woodpeckers.
Mhm.
And you can buy, you know, the stand and the router and all of that. And you get some kind of break on the price if you buy it all together. Next one.
Looks like you routed the top all.
If you went the wrong way. Go back.
Oh, there it is.
So there it is. And let's have the next one. That's why I like these, because I do stuff for you guys. So there it is, and next to my wife's easy chair.
Is it square on the edge or is it pebble down?
Yeah.
The what?
Is it square on the edge or is it pebble?
It's slightly, I used a slight round over, which is.
This is it straight up and down, or do you have a little pebble on it?
It's straight up and down. It's the
Yeah, I
picture's
see.
deceiving.
Okay.
And this is a Limbert table, have I got that right? I mean, it's fashioned after a particular designer. And I wanted to be as true as I could to the plans without being nuts about it. The one thing I did do is it called for figure 8 fasteners to hold the top down, fill those on the legs. And I had these nice, the legs glued up where all those triangles are. And I already had a hole in the bottom. I actually plugged the hole in the bottom. And then I drilled just one central screw. So that it's not only held down in 4 places, but there's also a screw into the meat of the top from underneath, which was Tony's idea.
Well, that was just to get it centered.
Well, but then how did you allow for movement? If you had.
Well, the middle doesn't move much, right?
No, the wheel doesn't, but the sides do, so did you put?
Well, that's why I use figure 8s.
So you use figure 8s on the sides.
Right.
Okay, I
And
misunderstood, I thought you
yeah.
said screwed all 4
And
sides.
the figure 8s will
Yeah,
turn
yeah,
with the
no.
wood movement.
Right.
Right? You all know what a figure 8 is?
Yeah. I mean, I can sort of guess from the name, it's basically 2 fasteners with a little strap.
Yeah, it's 2 figures like this. And
It looks like a pop tent.
it's one screw goes this
Does that
way
make sense?
and one
You
screw
put-
goes.
Yeah.
And then you frizzle out the corners here. You inset that just a little bit.
About the same size.
So you drill a little hole for it, put it down, put a screw in it, but you also chisel out the corners of this part of the figure 8. And then with wood movement, this piece you don't screw it all the way tight. You screw it in, but it's just snug and it can move.
Right.
What species is that?
Cherry,
Sure, it's fine.
one of my favorite woods to work with. Is it really?
No matter how tight you tighten the figure 8, it will still move. Because the wood, you cannot possibly tighten the screws enough.
To stop the wood
Stop the
movement?
wood moving.
Well, I should stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
I don't bother filling the corners out either. I just take a Forstner bit and just drill it.
Yeah, you drill it with a Forstner bit, and you just drill it down the thickness of the figure 8. And then one screw goes down and one screw goes up into the top. Other questions?
Nice job.
Did your wife like it?
Yeah, she loves it. but I
Good.
always-
And
That's
that's
what's
good.
important, you make the customer happy.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I always talk when we're done. About it. You guys always have good questions, so thanks for that.
You're into cooking. Yeah, didn't I earn it?
Steve, I sent you one picture just now. Yeah.
Just not here.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not like I do this all day.
Yeah.
That's.
Okay.
Well, I think this, I think it's. Cookie.
That's the photo, right?
That's the photo.
Okay.
So shows you coming to meetings is expensive. I learned in the last meeting that my Oneida filter was probably not filtering enough. So I took the suggestion that had been made about speaking to Mr. Wynn from Wynn
Environmental.
Environmental. And turns out that this filter, which is what comes with the Oneida, is the filtration on this is nowhere near close to HEPA. And he makes a HEPA filter that is half as expensive as the equivalent to buying it from Oneida. So anyone has Oneida, I got a replacement for $200. The replacement of this one would be like $400 and doesn't filter as well. So I passed that on to you. Turned out to be really easy to swap this one out and the other one in. Turned out to be 5 inches shorter. You cut a threaded dowel 5 inches short and put it up. It's as simple as that. It's a really nice guy to talk to him.
Just really easy to talk.
Really easy to talk to, spent a lot of time with me, really helpful. I had some other questions. This is available. If anybody like it, they're welcome to it. It's a good filter. I mean, it really is a good filter. It's not a HEPA filter, but if anyone likes it, you're welcome. I'm gonna put it on the website if anybody wants to.
So, on that subject, after our session on dust collection last month, I went out and bought a new dust collector. I bought a shop box, and it's one of those that's got a plastic bag on the bottom that you fill up with chips and throw away, and the thing on the top is a 2.5 micron filter, and that's not good enough. The stuff that's in your lungs is between 1 and 5 microns. The definition of a HEPA filter is 1 micron or less. And so Power Tech makes an aftermarket top bag. If you have a dust collector that has a top bag that's 1 micron, and it's not expensive, it's like $39 or something. And so if you're looking to improve down to a HEPA filter, and there are lots of brands. I think Grizzly makes one, and
It's the bag though you're talking about, right?
it's the bag,
Yeah,
and you just replace the bag. I was even thinking maybe I'll save the 2 micron filter and put it on the bottom.
The problem with the bag is that you lose surface area of the filter. And so it limits the airflow of the dust collector. And so when you put a pleated filter on like this on, there's a whole lot more surface area filtration. And so if you put a bag on something that had a pleated filter, you're going to lose performance of the dust collector. You definitely don't want to put the pleated filter on the bottom. You want to leave a plastic bag on the bottom. So the plastic bag's going to do all because your plastic bag's not going to kick anything out of it, right? So you're not going to be putting anything out.
I bought one of Mr. Wynn's filters to replace the bag that does in my unit as well. That does years ago, I think that.
The HEPA filter that I replace this with is a 0.5 micron. So $200 is a pretty good deal. It's an upgrade.
And he's got all the stuff for it.
Yep.
That's why it's from there.
Yeah, he suggested that instead of having originally this had a little metal cup that was on the bottom, almost collected almost nothing in it. He suggested putting a bag on the bottom, and you can monitor it. And when the filter gets clogged, he says the bag gets taut. And that's when you know that you have to bang out your filter. So anyway, good information. It's sort of a nice follow-up from what it was last time, and I learned a lot from that. This is where I went.
Did he say, I wrote this again?
Sorry?
Where was it again?
This is the last meeting,
Okay.
and it's online, so
It's
you
Wynn,
can take a look at it.
WYN.
Yes.
Oh, the filter is WYNN.
Environmental.
Yeah, Wynn Environmental.
It's like, he's got it all. It's like you can buy it on, you can buy it offline.
Yeah.
Just drop on the filter.
Yeah, and I called up to speak to someone technical, and they said, oh, I'll leave your phone number, and was Jack Wynn, I don't remember his first name, anyway, called me back about an hour later and spent about, 20 minutes with me. Really nice guy.
This guy Wynn,
It's not.
I like the historical thing about don't ask the engineer what time it is, because I'm trying to tell you how to build a box.
Yeah. He is like that. I asked a question about, I have an old Delta filter with a bag, so
cyclone, not cyclone, just a circular one with a bucket and then a bag, and I wanted to know could I replace the bag, and he tried to, not try to upsell me, but he tried to tell me, well, to build this whole thing, build our filter in. Nice guy. Nothing to do. Thank you.
Okay.
More photos.
Yeah, we got.
Get started on the small shop.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with this one. Simply because we didn't have Steve's mistake minute. And.
Is that going screen now?
So.
Turn the lights down a bit.
That works right there. Switch right there. Go ahead, switch over there. I think one of these switches.
Yeah.
So the Steve mistake minute is that I went through this a couple of years ago. I said, well, you know what? I need to put all my stuff so I can open up some rules. The problem is that once you do this, it's great. But you gotta make sure you never buy any more stuff. So I'd be embarrassed to show you the picture that right now today I want to walk around. So when you do the whole orientation, when you do the whole thing, you have to figure out. You either got a plan for tomorrow or you gotta just decide that I can't buy it.
So they asked the obvious question, how big is the room?
Huh?
How big is the room?
It's a 2-car garage, 2.5, I guess. Yeah, I don't think there's better. I think there was a car in there once when I first bought them.
What's a PDO cabin? PDO cabin.
Oh, I buy a lot of stuff from the U of M property disposal office. These are all.
That's.
Property disposal, and there's a small white cabinet.
Yeah.
They used to be, and well, before COVID, you could go there and buy them like $15.
Yeah.
You know, and actually you don't, because I don't, it's bankable. You know, that, and.
He's even got him in his kitchen, so. Yeah, it's in the dresser.
So anyway, so the thing that says King Ace, is that your table saw? That? The one in the middle of the room, is that your table saw? No, that's the Ace, the track saw, a track saw. And that's when it's folded up, when it's folded down. It's bigger. So you don't have a table saw in there? No. That's interesting. I had to pass the table saw down to my daughter down the street. And my real table saw says Steve Cropney's house. And it's like 15 minutes away. So if I gotta cut something out, nice table saw, I go to this.
The pointer on wheels.
That
Pointers on wheels.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's a Inca.
The jointer plane.
Jointer plane.
Jointer planer. And it's awesome. 10-inch plane, 10-inch jointer.
Yeah.
So you have,
Steve,
you know,
There's stuff in the way, like of the planer, of the joiner planer there. What do? You pull it out, you use it, or do you?
Yeah. When I do it, when I need it, it's on wheels, so I
Yeah.
roll over here to the dust collection, then I can bring it over and get up onto that. So
Sure.
There's your.
I tried, the whole idea of putting stuff on wheels seemed like a good idea. I guess it's a good idea, but.
I think it's very good. I have a small shop, you best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not having done it, but my sense is basically, if you have a small shop, you don't have a choice. You might rather have things not on wheels if you have the space, but
So-
leave them in one place, but you just don't have a choice.
Oh, no, I get it, but like my focus was like, I did it on my tabletop because I can set my tabletop so I could rip really well. Or I have to turn 90 degrees to cross cut really well, like big long things. It's like, that's just the nature of the beast. And if it's like, oh, I gotta do something really long, it's like I'm going diagonal across the whole shop, you know, you're moving like all sorts of tools, and you're like, I gotta rip them. I've done this a couple times. It sucks.
What are your suggestions for locking the wheel?
Oh,
Yeah.
great. So I bought the all locking wheels, so it locks the caster and the wheel. And I bought them from, I got mine on eBay. SES Caster, SES.
You buy them in Harbor Freight?
Yeah, I have them on Amazon. too.
There's like, so J-Hope turned me on to this place on eBay. It's in like Fraser too, by the way. Really good ones. It's been very affordable. And I got my Delta Unisaw. I have a wing on it with the router table, and I welded up a whole base board and all that. And I have a wing, and that thing glides like butter. My only real problem is my shop is it's in my basement, and the floors aren't level because it's old, and it's also got peel and stick, probably asbestos tiles. It's a little bit. I guess that's like. But it's not level, so sometimes I have to shim it because like I'll hit a nice thing. I just literally keep some wood shim on my. It's only every now and then.
Right. Two other things that I've not used either, but I've seen. One is some people on YouTube have built a mobile-based design where how does it work? But where the wheels either on one side or on both sides are on a pivot, so there's a big lever that actually forces the wheels around 90 degrees and lifts the whole thing up. It sits on its normal feet when the wheels are not engaged.
Yeah.
And you actually you're lifting the whole weight of it, but you've got a long lever on to do it.
I've seen those, and I've seen maybe you can like go buy them. Like there's
Well,
one
you can,
for
in turn, what you can buy is there are these things that thread into like a stem caster that have a bolt on top. But instead of having a caster directly under the stem, they have a foot directly under the stem and a caster off to the side with a lever that's so you basically step on it to lift it.
Yeah.
And then there's a kick lever to.
So and the nice thing about those, you can get those for like, they'll lift like 600 pounds per wheel. I mean, they're like,
Right.
For like my assembly table, secondary bench, I got, them on all four. I tied them together with a steel too.
Yeah, or even like a piece of wood across works too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made what Daniel mentioned, I made essentially for my planer, I got a big piece of.
Yeah,
leather,
you
and
made
so
one out of metal.
fold it up, the wheels fold up all the way, and it drops down, solid as I use.
So I have a really small shop. I cannot put my planer on any surface at normal working height. Leave it there because I don't have any surface for that. So I keep it under my workbench. I have to pull it out. I got the 735, and every time I regret every decision.
There's
If I'm lazy,
I've seen that.
oh yeah, I do it all the time. If it's a short enough board, it's quick, I'll do that. And I regret it.
Jared, I've got a stand. If you,
I don't have room anywhere.
No. It's the size. It's smaller than the footprint of the 735, and it goes from maybe 8 inches to 39 inches, and it's like a motorcycle lift sort of.
Oh yeah.
And so anyway, I can't think of his name. Maybe it's Underdone. There's a YouTuber who, and I saw it off him, but it was like $120 on Amazon. It weighs almost as much as the planer does, but I can keep my 735, and I have a 6-inch dustboard coming out of the top of it, so I have a little bit more height coming out of the top. I can keep it under a desk. When it'll roll under the desk, and when I want it, I can roll it right out and then jack it up to, I can jack it up to whatever surface height I want, lock the thing out pneumatically, and then drop down. I'll send you a link for one.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's done casters. You're not lifted it ever. It's really nice. Even if you did just want to like slide it onto a work surface and use it, and then slide it back, at least this thing does all your dollying for you, and you don't have to do any of the lifting.
And like it's also,
Not that I'm a big wuss. I don't remember what it's called. I'll put up a picture.
because I have because of all the turns to get to my shop.
Yeah.
I sometimes play in the yard.
Sure.
I have my sawhorses,
Yeah.
and I just suck it up and lug the thing up the stairs.
I have to get anything into my basement from my shop is I have to do a 180-degree turn. And if I want something that's 8 feet long, it has to hit 2 walls. So so when I take plywood downstairs, it's
Not to
cutting
brag.
2 walls at once.
But
When
I
I'm taking 12-foot sheets of drywall down the stairs, they're bent like a curve when they go down the stairs.
I can get, I think it's 10 foot, like 8 inches. Now,
That's-
I
damn.
know them.
Yeah. I've never seen
What's the
it
name
in
of
my
the
life.
site? What's
I don't remember. I'll put it on the site.
Okay, that's
Is
great.
there any flip top? Yeah, that's what
I literally have nothing I want to flip with. Cause I have my cleaner flip with explosive sander, so I never use that. I don't have any official sander. It would have to be right. Much like I thought of it, but it had to be my microphone, and that's how I I didn't stand because I'm not really on sandy thing, right? So. Oh, no, I get it, and I just have nothing to watch it. I look at it like, yeah.
You don't have like a large standard that be.
I have one of those little 4x36, the Harbor Freight. The cheapo.
I know.
It's got the 5-inch disc, it's got the old band in the back, so I love it, but I keep it on a shelf.
Well, yeah, no, I had the strip or a belt, and there's a strip like a narrow guy.
No, it's the belt, whatever, but it literally, it's stored on the
But yeah,
shelf.
I have something similar.
I pick it up with one hand, I set it down, plug it in.
I've seen a disc that replaces your table saw blade that's got a piece of sandpaper.
Oh, yeah, I have two. I like the 5-inch because I got it used for $7. Oh,
That's so.
oh, yeah, it was pretty stoked. Actually, the same time I bought a miter saw, the same guy, $5. It was awful miter saw, and it ended up exploding a month later. Like, it was explosion of blade, bent noise. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sending you this.
Oh, so you see that? That's great. So one of the biggest, I haven't taken my craft on my
Center.
but the early stuff that I made,
That phone number is
I
a
put
landline.
tiny wheels on,
So
and that's a
Sorry,
big
that's
mistake.
okay.
When you got heavy equipment,
665.
spend an extra couple bucks. to buy a larger wheel.
No, it's fine.
Subject to gas is,
Oh, yeah.
things, gas.
Yeah, just okay. All right, perfect. Thanks. I have it. Oh, yeah. If anyone else wants it, they're welcome to it.
Multiply by 4. It's like, don't even go.
It's so cheap to get a bigger caster.
And gas Hudson got amazing prices. And,
What do you like to use? Like, what type of tire and stuff like that?
for the, well, because I'm doing outside also, so it's semi-hard pneumatic.
Okay.
Inside, it's
The powder, okay. I have,
But I've had Harbor Freight stuff that just disintegrates over time. They just like roll into their.
I had to replace the casters on my grill and I put the poly on top. The grill casters are like,
Stay outside.
no, lives in the garage. So, yeah.
I would call it caster focused on it's the caster guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Yep. A caster guy and a phone guy. So. Yeah. I've got a 2-car garage, but I try to keep all my tools on a little less than one side of it. So everything's on wheels. Table saw is there. You can kind of see like arm that's actually poking up. Got a jointer back there. And then my cleaner is on a shelf there, router table, other stuff. So what I'm talking about is the carts. Now I'm talking about casters and actually upgraded to much bigger. It's like 2-inch. Now I got, I don't know, 3, 4, those are the 4. Yeah. And so it's a little top heavy, so originally designed as on a 2-inch, so now it's slightly tipping. But mortar serve, then I use that's drill press. And then I've got like my clamps there. I was reading about that shop design, and I really didn't like clamp racks. It says you keep stuff you use near each other. So you can imagine like the other side of like the other bay of the garage is where my assembly table, which is a half sheet of plywood on sawhorse is. But I should move my make room for my clamps. Okay, there's something so kind of cross in the garage every time. But then there's nails that get stronger. Yeah. So if you want to do the next one. And so when I did this, it's actually a decade or more, but it's my very not HEPA compliant dust heavy setup. And if you look, it's actually like I cut a little groove into it, so that's actually holding in place. Then the ratchet strap so it wants to tip over and fall out when it ain't on the hose. But it works. I mean, yeah, ratchet strap's pretty smart. Oh,
You can get a HEPA filter for your shop that. They make. have
Oh, I got
They
one.
go on the center.
Yeah, I got something like that, but it's a 5 gallon homer bucket and it looks very leaky. So it's one of those things where it doesn't propel it out at high speed, but I know it's leaking. But I update less than once a year, it's just with flour for my sander and wearing a respirator anyway, so.
And you got an air filtration pump, right?
As of last month,
Is it Jack?
yeah, it's that one. I put it up over the holidays.
How do you like that stuff, dude, because it works, it separates stuff out well?
Oh yeah, no, I've never had a plug-in. I don't think I've ever
How
had
do you really get separation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
There's
have
no
no
dust in there.
They just came out with a lower profile one. Dust up here. Well, I saw that many.
They also have I don't know if that's the one, but they have one that's designed for a bigger shop vac. It's not the big black super dust deputy, but they finally released like a 2.5 inch hose version of it. That came out like a year ago. So
Yeah, this is.
no, this is, no, I've owned them for 10 years, and the standard clear one, or opaque one, they didn't replace, but they finally said, oh, look, now we have a high flow one for regular shop vacs, and it came out about a year ago, so, and it's, 10 bucks more. or something.
That's at least point, like, you can say I've got a universal, like, plumbing adapter on top of that. But what it, like, the part that the attachment plugs into, like, it's not sized, like it would be plug internal vacuum. So you gotta kind of work monkey with
You
it.
just don't buy the first one you see. When you decide you need one, look on their website, and the 8 of them that they now seem to offer that all have the same feature, pick the one that best matches your.
Yeah, I would say I endorse that dust in that reservation because there's almost no dust in there. I've never had empty it here.
Why do you have a water serve in a small shop?
Because you'll sold for your price, I couldn't say no to. That's the honest answer. It's like, hey, this is broken, here's the part for it, it's options like, yes.
Yeah.
So,
I was curious, I'm like, I don't know if I do enough work to have it, it should justify all the water.
I did.
Grass cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I built a bottom for my swimming board. My last final project we could put like 30 hours into the woodworking was I built a big bed frame, like the artsy craft side. And so I moored this out like this. The mortise and tenon joints. And I got a domino and
It's a good shelf for that domino. Keep the container right on there. Perfect spot.
I
I
was
don't
saying
know.
that, I'm like, I know you have a dominant, I have a dominant, and you're like, why?
if you want it, or you really want that reinforcement kind of bed.
Okay.
It does well. The only issue is, and Jerry might be able to address this, I always shoot with a pin. Like, on that long handle of leverage it gets, I'm usually shoot with a pin.
The little roll pin?
Yeah.
Twice sold it.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
Let's say something about your 5 gallon bucket. If you go to Home Depot and you can buy a lid for $2 and they stack. And they're absolutely the perfect size to put the blades from your table saw in. So I've got like 6 of them and I keep my table saw blades in them and it only takes up the space of the lid.
Oh,
They're also great for cleaning your blades.
Yeah, I clean my blades in them. Yeah, and it's the ones from Home Depot have kind of a dimple in the middle. So you can get your finger into the hole of the table saw blade and just lift it out without touching the carbide.
you're back to your concern on shearing springs still.
Yeah,
So,
we can talk about that later. That's-
yeah, because
That's the whole
conversation.
conversation.
That is the only reason I don't use that thing more is that like every time I use it, it's like, oh, another spring, I'm like, get in, jam, and get it, like the new one.
Yeah, they're nightmare.
Yeah. Because now I go in. Anyway, so we can go to the next one. Get the close up of the. And so when I renovated my house, for some reason, I had, like Vietnam era bottom crates. There was like a stack of them, so I kept two of them because it's cool. Like actually, if you go back one, you can see the standing. You can kind of see like the fuse nose bottom assembly, like standing on there. But so, but they're really solid like pine boxes. So I built this part around it, which I then expanded when I wanted to do the CNC. Because I needed something to set it on. And then with the scroll saw that was on top of the cart there, built a little frame that magically fit. So when it's a kind of funny story, when I redid my kitchen, I was like, I'm not gonna spend $900 on slides. I'll spend $400 and like tens of hours of my life building pullouts myself. But I didn't factor in that the cup hinge, like the Euro style hinge, sticks up just that much on the bottom. And so I had to redo like 5 out of 9 pullouts. So well, that's one of them that magically fit in that spot by happenstance. But yeah, so then yeah, it's all on carts, all mobile, scroll saw, CNC, drawers will jump. And yeah. And then bandsaws also wheels, everything. But that's my shop.
I guess one more show of hands survey. How many people have got something in their shop? The only reason you've got it is you got a great deal on it.
Somewhere.
Mark, your
So you're in a 2-car garage.
Yep.
And you're still pulling 1 car, the 2-car garage.
So if I didn't convince my wife to get a minivan, she probably could pull in with the car still.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh, the big car seat won't see the forward focus. You should get a minivan. And so now I spend a whole my lumber in.
Oh, so now no more cars.
No more cars in the
Okay.
garage.
That was my
But-
question, because I had a 2-car garage also.
They make
Everything on
cars to be
wheels.
outside.
What's that?
They make the cars to be outside.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my shop is such that the car is still worth more than most of the tools
Yeah.
in the shop, which isn't all.
Give it time.
Well,
Bag it full into
then you
it.
can leave the tools outside.
What's more important?
It's something where like, if I really applied myself and we had a smaller vehicle, like I could probably put my vehicle in there. But
That sounds like a better idea.
yeah,
So you can park in there.
they're the tools, like tools get lonely.
Right.
Not even have it.
He's gonna work until she got a job. Let's take my tools.
You want a marriage?
So, and I toy with like getting more stuff, like I was gonna get a combo machine, I thought, yeah, I don't have room for it. And then I was gonna toy with like, I'm still probably build a proper workbench, but I'm really, I feel like reaching the limits of being able to maneuver.
Here's a survey question. Does anyone not have a full shop where they don't have any space left? Is there anyone that has space left in their shop?
Define space, I'll give you a voice find your space.
I can't fit a
Pull a
two
car.
No,
I mean, I've been out of space, still drug something else.
There's always one.
I'm moving.
You have to remember.
Oh, yeah.
Basically shop, and it's like, no,
okay.
Yeah.
oh, I can fit this right there, like I can fit it right between the wrap.
You mean a built-in clamp rack?
Yeah, that, oh yeah, I mean, it's littered, right? I'm always just terrified there's gonna be an earthquake and I'm gonna be in it, there's a rattle and fall out.
And not really pictured, I added a bunch of shop lights, instead of having 2 like 100-watt light bulbs, I added 8 or 9 like process like LED light tubes.
Yeah.
Which was game changing.
Where did you get the light tubes? I'm just curious.
There's really no distinction, so I got them off from Costco, so they're just generic.
I had a problem with, I got light tubes on Amazon that were cheap and they look beautiful. But at the time, my garage wasn't climate controlled year round and it went through one cycle of winter and half the LEDs didn't work anymore.
Okay,
So I've upgraded to
Are
the
they
ones from
the ones that go in the fixture?
No, these are just straight tubes. The ones in the fixture I think are gonna be better. Those have survived longer.
Okay, so I've never, so the ones at Costco are the bite size.
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah.
Those. So I have those in my shop, had them for years, like I've moved with them and stuff.
But you're in a house, so you're.
But I also have a bunch in my garage.
Okay.
Which is not even a little bit climate controlled, it's a detached garage, and it's not vented. So in the summer,
It cooks in the summer and freezes in the winter.
oh, in the
That's
summer,
what it was.
yeah, it's so hot, in the
Yeah.
winter it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
They work great,
Okay.
never had
Remember the
issues,
ones
and
at
I
Costco.
literally have them.
Toggle with Home Depot sells. I've been testing those for now 15 years outside.
The ones that are by like,
The green one, the green
yeah.
labeling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And-
I know someone else said those. I just,
And they've been, so I've literally been testing them for.
and the only reason
And
I chose,
outside, it's amazing.
only reason I chose Costco was they had a sale on them at one point. And it was a good deal, so it's like, oh, and they were still kind of new.
I don't think they're carrying them anymore, just was there today, I was looking for them.
They had the ones that were there on clearance. So I got mine off the internet because they had some really nice ones that are way too bright, it's just been kind of silly, but they were at a decent discount in the door.
Nothing's too bright.
I have to go with that.
Right here.
That's what, like, honestly, now that I know that they don't care, like, that's what I'm buying next.
So I did
No,
mine
I
with
And
delivered.
the screw in LEDs, forget it.
Yeah, I've heard those.
Oh, they're right up there.
No,
If you're buying lights for your shop, you want daylight ones.
Edison base and those type, right?
oh, yeah, those, like, you mean the weird flat panel thing?
Yeah.
Horrible.
And especially.
I bought them.
Give them 3 months and they're dead, or they're just finished.
You mean like the ones I have on my sconces outside of my house? Or the fancy?
The big one that has the big cylinder. around it,
Yeah, okay.
the light up.
I thought you meant like the replacement for my 60 watt bulb. I'm like, I don't know, I've had that out there for years, I've never touched
So
it.
you need to find out which manufacturer. I've had problems with.
We're talking about different things.
Yeah, I think.
You're talking about UFOs, you're talking about.
There's these
The
panel
normal
lights.
26s, yeah.
Yeah, there's this like a standard bulb, so like socket base, and you screw it in, and it's got like these panels on full, like the
Yeah.
monster space and
Or
stupid
the
things.
big
And
big one.
Those were fine.
I hate it. It
Yeah,
was just way too
corn
bright
cob,
in one
that's
spot. My ceiling wasn't high enough, maybe.
It's like, I've got a line and they work fine.
I've got no attic in my space. It's a 15 by 15, basically, the deep roofs. I put high bay lights up at the top and I love it, but I got them in the one color temperature, 2700 or whatever, which I prefer to the super daylight, right? So it's, work better with wood, it just feels natural. But if you got the high enough ceilings, I love having the high.
So I think you say that,
One for the whole room.
I tried 2700 for, I had, early on, I just had light bulb,
Yeah.
I just had the. I did not
No.
like, I would 5,000,
Preference, I guess,
yeah,
No, it's way too white.
I could not see like marking on wood and stuff.
The, just FYI, the, LED strips from Costco are still available online. You can
Yeah,
get them
that's where I got
online.
mine.
How bad are they?
So
$50 for a 4-foot.
60 for one?
I think so. I'm trying.
You can buy, like, just like the Costco with other websites, but I bought a 16 pack of them after Costco got rid of them from like generic online light retailer.com or something. And you can buy those same fake ones from lots of people.
Oh, yeah.
And they were the same price.
No, I just literally got them there because they would.
No, I mean, I meant after Costco, after it was hard to find at Costco.
Oh, yeah.
You just wait 6
Yeah,
minutes,
these
they'll
are-
be back at
yeah, these
Costco,
are
just like your favorite cheese and whatever else, they just cycle through stuff, you know?
So.
Oh, and last plug, retractable ceiling extension cord, game changer.
Game change.
Retractable ceiling extension
Oh,
cord. You just reach up and pull down, there's power. Nope.
Oh, that's fun.
Running up.
Or just drop
Husky.
SOO over.
I bought the,
Make certain you get a heavy enough gauge, because a small gauge, you're gonna have a fire.
well,
You want to get 12.3.
yeah, it's so, what's interesting, so even the ones that were 12.3, they're still at a 15 amp breaker.
That's mine. Get more on that.
So I did not find, even since we said 12.3, I've got 14.3 because one, I'm not running that much off of it. Generally.
The breaker's not with, the breaker's there to protect the wire. And so you don't, so if you're using 14.3 and you're drawing too much, then on a long extension cord, a big tool is going to draw too much. And so it doesn't matter how much you got pulled out, it's the full length of all that wire that's in there. So you want, that's why you use a heavier wire for the thing. And the breaker doesn't protect the tool, the breaker protects the wiring. And so,
I'm saying this is the length of the wire, you know, it's 12 gauge.
I'm saying that the length of the wire is why you don't want to use 14.3, you want to use 12.3.
I see.
Well, I mean, how long is it?
50, I think.
Yeah, 50 foot of 14 gauge is not a good idea.
Well, the question is, the question is what you put on it. I mean, I'm only
Exactly.
running small hand tools off.
Yeah.
I would not run the machine off.
Like a really installed all.
Yeah.
Or like it's like Power Wheels charger.
Drop it in that.
You got all that.
I like the one that's used.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can explain it.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Big tools are not the thing to plug into that.
I go short as possible.
So I have a basement shop as opposed to a garage shop. And when I designed the house, we thought we would design it so that we could put in 2 bedrooms and a bath. So this is a walk-in closet. This is supposed to be a bedroom, an escape window, a bathroom, a hallway, and the other bedroom and walk-in closet. but it was unfinished, and that became my shop rather than 2 bedrooms and bath. Even though it's plumbed in the cement floor. So just keep the floor plan in your mind.
So Eric, do you have a toilet in your shop? First question.
Do I have a what?
Toilet in your shop, this random toilet right there. It's like a
Actually, we wound up putting the bathroom, which is
Oh,
right here.
I was hoping you were gonna tell me you just had a random toilet. Pittsburgh toilet.
Oh, I don't know why this is first, but this is just, I have,
Table to the same.
this new, duct collector, and I put it on my little remotes. Because if you various machines. Yeah, well, it's got a magnet. Next one. So here's the workbench that I built. Here's that, router table, and this is my tool wall. Aaron showed me that I didn't have to put everything perpendicular, and by taking this from here and putting it this way, it opened the shop up just tremendously. Wasn't my idea, it was Aaron's idea. Next slide. So in those walk-in closets, I use them primarily for storage. So there's some shelving and stuff over here. This is, see, here are my 2 small wheels. And I put wood scraps in here. The other side holds, half a sheet of plywood or whatever. These are, my next project's a pencil bed. That is part of one of Tom McLaughlin's courses. And that's the bed. I try and stay 1 or 2 projects ahead in terms of wood, so it can just acclimate. This is a clamp rack that I built that I'm replacing. And changed a lot of stuff around recently. Next slide. So here I took out a shelf and I moved this to make room for the bandsaw that I ordered. It hasn't come yet.
What bandsaw?
And you can see there's storage over here.
Which order for the bandsaw?
There was a really good deal from Harvey, and I got their Ambassador 14, which, like I said, next slide. So this is my finishing area, and this is a table that I built that doubles as an assembly table, but my table saw is over here, and you turn it around, and I have 2 of these, and one's a 16th inch higher than my table saw, and the other's a 16th inch lower. So I have an outfeed and an infeed feed table because I'm old, and if I have big heavy pieces of wood, I have more control. And I have a sheet of 1/8 inch plywood that I can put on the lower one if I want to gang the 2 of them together.
Do you haul plywood to your basement to cut it?
Do I have what room?
You haul it to your basement to cut all the plywood, you haul over it?
Yes, I can. You guys were talking about what fits. I have a stairway that goes down and around that way, and I've got just enough room to get an 8 by 10 sheet of plywood down. But not careful.
4 by 8, you mean, right? Not 8 by 10. You said 8 by 10.
8 by 4, sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, my gosh. I'm like, how do you know that?
You didn't see all my sanding stuff, paint stuff. Okay, next slide. So there's my shop box new thing. I'm gonna put my bandsaw there, and I'm trying to get rid of this to make more room for the bandsaw. And it used to be all full of clamps, but I'm putting the clamps on the wall. I may have to pull the bandsaw a little forward. All this stuff is on wheels. There's the escape window from the bedroom. Yeah.
For a basement shop, I see the dust extraction, but when you're in the finishing area, do you worry about ventilation, or do you have a system in place for that?
Do I worry about what?
Ventilation. Or what?
I have 2 windows, and I have window fans, and I can open them and ventilate them. And I also have a one of those things on the ceiling, but that's not particularly good for.
You don't worry about
fumes.
wafting into the rest of the house, the smell of your,
Not really.
Ah.
You know, I shut the doors to the shop and, it's not too bad.
Okay.
So I worry about that because my house is 900 square feet.
Yeah.
Really small. What I did is when I built my shop, I used the acoustical sealant when I built the walls. And then I just bought an exterior door at Menards, and that's the door to my shop instead of like an interior door. Now there's, weather stripping.
Yeah.
It helps.
Now you can marinate it.
Oh, yeah, no, like, it's like hot box, it's real bad.
For, egress window for a buddy of ours, we put a tilt and turn window in, so he could bring his lumber straight into
Yeah.
the egress.
Yeah, I tried that and for one of the windows, I
Yeah.
destroyed the sills.
Well, we put a little cap on it and ramp.
Why wasn't that smart?
Yeah.
My shop is in the basement next to the furnace area. And there is a vent for the furnace that goes out. I was wondering if I can split that vent.
No.
No, okay.
No.
I thought that might be risky.
Very.
So exactly what I was thinking.
No, you can feel free to drill a hole through the side of your rim joist and put whatever vent out the
Yeah,
side you
you
want, if it's 4 inches or smaller. Nothing in your basement is holy.
Right?
Don't,
Bath fan.
just drill holes through stuff, like, not
Don't
like,
scare
not like all your joists, but if you need to run a vent out of a rim joist on the side of your house, that's easy to do.
Okay.
And you can feel free to do it on your own. You don't need to worry
Yeah,
about.
to be
anybody
honest,
else.
I am very tempted right now because, well, side topic, I got into 3D printing and sometimes you have to bend for that.
Sure.
And so I was now I'm like, well, I put the 3D printer in the basement, so I'm like, might just do that. Might
could do that.
Might drill another one. So I could have it in the, the theory is that I could have a dryer on both sides of my basement, two close dryers running if I wanted. When I go to sell, it's like, no, you can run more dryers. You can run more laundry. Selling our basement. Yeah, laundry units never find laundry.
Just remember, if you put a vent, you have to have some place for makeup air.
Yeah, to pull air in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it has to come from somewhere.
Plenty of holes.
If you put a bath fan in, or if you go buy one, you can go down to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy them for about $15. And they're noisier than hell. You buy one that's about $120. Roan makes one, a couple of them. You turn them on, you can't even hear them run. I installed one for a lady one time and she said, can we get that fan hooked up? I said, well, it's been on for, she didn't even realize it was.
And I thought about this, Gil.
So
I was gonna, if I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna get the noisy one, mostly so I know when I
Which one?
I might literally, like turn it on and I might not go in my shop for a day or two. Yeah, I should put on a timer, but it'd be better if it's like making a whole rattle.
But
Gonna be
you
quieter than
understand that
everything
those noisy ones, they're only pushing 40, 50 CFM
That's fair.
versus the fan tech is gonna push 120 CFM. Well, and it's quiet. It's a good idea.
The fan techs are also nice.
Definitely fan. So this is one side of the other, walk-in closet. As you see, storage is just a real problem. I have grandkids who make things, so I kind of push theirs
Save
to
them.
the side.
Yeah.
Next slide. So, this is just the other side of all that mess was over here and like that. These are, Bora, things for holding, wood
Drying
and
your own wood.
tools and,
Yeah.
it's just, I've got wood everywhere. Next slide.
Trying to go.
It's just another view of the stupid ones. And that's more, that's the other side, yeah. Next slide. So this is my miter saw. The dust collection is terrible.
I was saying, how do you like that hood?
I do like it. It traps a lot of dust. And every once in a while, I take the hose from my shop back and
Clean out inside.
I suck up the stuff that accumulates in there, but the dust collection that comes with it just sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, no pun intended.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I take mine, I throw it outside anymore.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Summer. That thing, I have a similar one, but it's like, I refer to it as the grotto. It's like I have a, thing around my top, but it keeps it all in one place.
Right,
It keeps dust in
exactly.
one place.
That's the
And you can get them, I don't know if that one has, you can get them where they one I have kind of shapes down into a 5-gallon bucket. I've never gotten it to work right, but theoretically gravity, in addition to my dust collection, gravity is supposed to get some of it into the bucket.
Well, I've storage over there, that shelves. and
Okay.
stuff.
Who makes those?
Fast, yeah.
You can see here, this is a rule, and
Fast.
I took a lot of time with this microsaw. It gets really exactly 90 degrees. I don't even have to use a shooting board most of the time. And this is a very accurate measure, but it took me a very long time to get that exactly right. And I don't touch it. I think excellent. And this is another view. This is my table saw. It's a saw stuff. Here's the infuse table I was talking about. There's my little push stick that I made. I've got these Jensen things that they pull the wood down, so you're really just pushing it forward. And there's a 5-degree angle to them, so that if you sheet of plywood, it pushes it to the fence, and it's really a big help. But I had to make a push stick with a handle that was really high, so I could go past those.
Do you use them every time you do a roof cut?
The push stick?
No, the rollers.
So Jessels.
Do I use them every time? No. But sometimes I'm cutting something where the fences has to be closer to the blades than I will allow. But I use them most of the time.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll use featherboard on the other side, mag switch featherboard. And that really keeps things tight against the fence between the two of those. Next slide. Here's I was talking about the these are my saw blades, and it takes up very little space. And when you're cleaning your blades, you just do it right in there. You sort your stuff around the carbide edges and take a nylon brush and
I just stack them in a 5-gallon bucket and pull it stuff.
give it that waste a lot of stuff.
You can pour it back in the bottle.
Yeah,
If you use
I-
simple green, you can filter it, pour it back in the bottle.
I have done that. I've also, I'm not the best about cleaning them there. I normally just grab another blade. I have nice ones, and then I just do it all at once. Like, there you go. 6 blades and stack.
Rockford sells like a little like bin you can buy the solution,
Yeah.
like this little plastic thing. But yeah, then you pay like
Twist it,
15,
the
20
handle.
bucks for.
And the handle's got magnets on it.
I saw the one with the magnets and the handle. I just want that handle.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool for picking them up. You're cleaning.
So this is hooked up to my miter saw, this is hooked up to my table saw, and here's my chop back over here where you can't see it, is a cyclone.
Oh, there's your current bands on.
Yes.
There's your current.
Yeah, there's my curb band saw.
The beast.
Actually, it was a gift from Tony. That was my first, when he bought his nice.
And I noticed the first time you actually used it, you went out and bought a good one.
Yeah. He actually got that thing to work.
You probably could have climbed the journey.
These are worth mentioning, with the saw stop comes, you have to buy these inserts and they're like $100. But Infinity makes these where you have an insert and these things slide in and out. And once I found those, I stepped by them there and use them. If you've got a bevel cut, every if you've got doing a dado stack, everything you do, you just make one of these. They're like $14 or something, and then you just slide it in the next time you're doing that particular operation.
So it fits inside, the throat like you're talking about, fits inside the soft top.
Yeah,
You buy,
it's made for the saw stuff.
it's a different throat plate that those slide in and out of.
Yeah.
Cauliflower makes them as well, and they make them for miter saws too, which is kind of nice.
Oh yeah,
I have
that's
one
good to know.
I have one for you.
Cauliflower, it's his last name. It's not spelled like cauliflower. It's COLIFLOWER or something. I don't remember. It's his last name though.
I have one that fits on a
Cauliflower.
unisaw and I'm able to, it's really
I have it on
easy to
myself.
actually make the
Yeah.
inserts. I just make a whole bunch of them.
Unisaws, yeah.
Yeah, and then just keep using them up.
I found that like half inch plywood with Formica. I just glue on Formica. So I have fake granite inserts.
Actually, a real granite insert.
Huh?
Use a real granite.
Actually,
Blind out the.
Down my brain.
Yeah, it's gonna feel like butter until it shatters. It's terrifying. Yeah.
Put on some riot armor and then like, you know, put it through.
No, you flashbacks for
Yeah, but so by the time you get the blade through, then you gotta get a new blade.
Yeah.
So this is one of the early things I made. This is, it's my little desk from my shop. This is my granddaughter's making a dragon. Wayne was there and it was a dragon. He's got horns someplace. Anyway, it's really good for storing small items, and this folds up and locks onto this. So if I have something big I want to get out of the shop, I can fold this whole thing up out of the way. There's the cyclone. All right, next. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is if you have doorways in your shop, a really good place to store lumber is over the doorway. Because, you know, a door is what, 6 feet? And you got an 8-foot ceiling, so you got 10 feet up here where you can store wood.
Except for when the earthquake comes through.
Yeah, and you have 8-foot ceilings.
Yeah, if you have an 8-foot
I have 7.
That's not fun, I think,
Yeah.
it's paralyzing me.
What?
I vision me walking through the door, clunking it, and this board comes on my head and paralyzes me.
I have really short ceilings, so I can't.
Yeah. I have this big pegboard, metal pegboard, which is useful and it served me well for a long time. I think if I were doing it over again, I'd use French cleats.
So I don't
Make
like
stuff
having,
with-
I don't like having tools on the wall, cause they always get, like, then I know which ones I don't grab, and they're always dusty and, I just don't like having.
Like a bad tool on it.
I do.
Well, I like just seeing them all.
It's nice to have tools on the open everything.
Yeah.
This is another.
I have
know
the
where to put
uncanny
this.
ability to know exactly where I put that random type wrench.
Then you don't have more tools.
I have enough, cause
This is anything sticky, it's where all my different glues are. And then my sharpening thing is here. My planes and my chisels are here, my workbench is here.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
If you ever redo that and you are thinking about French cleats, you might just think about plywood. I have French cleats on one side of things, I have a bunch of stuff hung from it. And every time I have to make a new thing, I just get frustrated that I have to make a cleat for it and I have to get it right. If it's gonna span multiple cleats, I have to do all that. On the other side of my shop, I'm just gonna stick a bunch of plywood because most small things you could just screw into plywood. And if you don't mind seeing it, you never have to worry about it. You don't have pegs again. So I think French cleats are cute and I think YouTube loves them.
Yeah.
And I think unless you're hanging something really heavy, I think they're just in the way. Anyway, that's my.
That's good.
Yeah,
to know.
there's a couple YouTubers who agree with you, and I kind of think the same thing. Well, and the point is, you just put up a piece of plywood, and then if there's a tool that you need a way to mount, all you have to make is the mount, and you just put screws right through it and into the plywood, and then when you move stuff around, okay, I have holes in my plywood, who cares?
If you need cleats, just put it on.
All of this stuff right here is on French cleats. So my, you know, my plane caddy and all of this and all these chisels, strides, they're all, that's all on French cleats. And I made that with the idea that I would take it off the wall and move it to where I was using it, and I never do that.
That's the problem. That's the theory of the French cleat, right? Is you can grab it and go, but nobody ever does.
Next slide. Am I talking too much?
I just wanna make sure we didn't miss anyone, sorry.
Yeah, I can sit down.
I didn't know if anyone else had photos, I'm sorry, that's right.
Yeah.
So I don't have photos, but I have something to pull up on the web.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
We haven't.
Sorry, I didn't wanna, I just.
No, it's okay. You can just run through them. We're already around to talk about them.
Eric, just one question. That's a really nice shop. But how many square feet is the shop?
It's 40 feet long and it's 20 feet wide. And then the walk-in closets are 7 feet back and about 4 feet across.
Eric, lots of space.
Do I what?
Are you out of space?
Am I out of, well, I just bought a bench, so I'm out of space.
Your organization is spectacular.
Is it?
One of the things that I struggle with is I have several craftsmen. Because I used to have a ton of mechanics tools, because I used to use them as mechanics tools. And I have a bunch of craftsman chests that I'm like scared to get rid of. But I would love for almost everything that's in them to be pared down and on walls, because I think being able to see tools is the best thing ever. And those chests are just an abyss. I hate them.
The biggest problem I
Yeah, I love
have
them,
is
but
dust settles on them. So I was really interested in our last meeting, and I'm really trying to do stuff to cut down on the dust. Because every once in a while, you know, there's just,
Sure.
especially if I'm doing something really dusty, it's like an
What do you do for your soundproof? Yeah.
Not much. I mean, there's insulation on the walls.
Yeah.
And I think there's some insulation, but nothing terrific. Around the edge of the room, that's insulation on the outside walls. But if you look up, they're just rafters, and I've put wood in the rafters, you know, and I used to run my dust collection hoses through the rafters. I'm trying to get rid of that. And make the dust collection hoses shorter, so there's less.
People in the house or outside.
Inside.
Yeah, you need an inch and a quarter.
So this is real quick. My shop is also in my basement right now. And I originally built my own, benches and stuff for it, and then I had a house fire in the security. So I bought these at Menards. It's called Extreme Garage Shelving, it's just particle board in here. The cool thing about this is that you can adjust the height, and I think it's 2-inch increments.
Yeah.
So you can put your shelf any height you need it to work with the tools that you've got, depending on their size and kind of thing. And I put it up on top, that's where it's stored. That's all I had on it. And I wanted to say, if I ever get my house built, and I'm not too far over budget, then I'm gonna build a toy barn and put a shop out there. And my plan is to build inside the barn shop area with a ceiling and a loft above. And then put my dust collector up there, so that I don't have dust in the shop itself. And just suck it up there. And the other thing that I'm thinking, in terms of paint fumes and so forth, is to make a paint, box.
Finishing.
Yeah, if anything, hook up the dust collector and stuff out in the shop.
Right.
So they worry about that. Clearly, there are different designs, just because they worry about the flammability of anything near the little. I have wondered still with one, and that was one. Exactly.
Okay, so most dust collectors really suck a lot there. So unless you're boiling this, these fumes in the film and creating enough of them, you will never get a high enough concentration for it to burn. So if you let the fumes build up in a space until you've got the right concentration of those in the air, then it'll explode. But as long as you mix enough air in with it, it'll never.
How are you gonna get rid of the dust if your dust is upstairs? You could collect a, barrel of dust, sawdust.
Sure.
How are you gonna get it out? Have you thought about how you're gonna get it out of your attic?
Are you gonna have the motor up there?
The
motor's
motor's gonna be up there.
And then collect it down below. Is what you think.
No, actually up there, but it's gonna be out there, multiple store longer and stuff, and they'll have access.
He's saying you gotta carry, then you gotta
You gotta carry it down.
heavy Bad. Down.
Yeah.
Throw it out the windows there.
I never thought that was all that heavy whenever I did.
You can also hype it. I think you can just.
Yeah,
dump
you
it
can.
outside, like, yeah.
But as long as you're sucking enough air through there, you're never gonna get an explosive.
And also, you talk about motors, I was actually, I was interested in the same thing. So some motors spark, yes, but not induction motors, right? Which is what you want to be, safety blower and or depending on the design, well, probably a little small blower is kind of direct drive, but it's don't it's both nice to the air. Got it going cool in here, but
Real quick, I was starting to build a lot of cabinets, put hand tools in that, and I finally bit the bullet and built a wall cabinet, and I found I probably picked up like a 3-to-1 ratio of cabinets plus the access to it. So I've done this with, like, I've built 2 or 3 of these cabinets here for all of that one. The nice thing about these, we're talking about
stuff dusty, these close right up, there's some magnets down here, so they're nice. These panels open up, so you've got a double layer behind here, you open the door, you got a couple layers there. The same with the top up there, but I just did it mostly to get rid of cabinets.
That's the Mike.
That's beautiful.
Plan, right? Did you get it from Fine Wood?
Mike, yeah, Mike Pekovich, just altered it to what I wanted, yeah.
What's the 3-1?
The amount of space, so the floor space taken up. This is only about 10 inches of space. And a cabinet was taking up that much floor space, so.
How deep is it when it's closed?
It's about 10 inches closed. Yeah. And open probably.
So how often do you open and close it?
Anytime I do sanding,
Oh,
even though I've got a lot of dust collection,
okay.
it's pretty much open the whole time. I don't do a ton of sanding.
Cause I tried doing something similar.
Yeah.
Like I made something really simple and I thought, this is gonna be great.
Yeah,
I left it open. I'm probably just really lazy, but yeah.
you could probably put a spring hinge on there.
Yeah. But I made it really simple. On, close it.
My refrigerator has a beep.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. Brant was coming in clutch.
How did you decide what's on the second layer? I mean, did you put, because you got stuff that's not visible.
The stuff that gets used the most
Is out
is
front.
here. The stuff my mortise and chisels, I don't use as much. Those go behind. Other saws behind here, that I don't use as often.
What did you do with the 2 earlier versions? Still got them full of tools?
No, they're on another wall. So I've got 3 of
You've
these.
got 3 of these.
Yeah, but it took up, a lot of floor space of
And
cabinets.
did you dovetail it? Did you do through tendons?
Yeah.
And you did the
Yeah,
whole bit?
it's a piece of furniture.
Yeah. They're beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
They're really
Yeah. And so this one's all out of ash. Yeah.
Still buy another plane.
No, that's it. Well, this is a good deal, right?
But I think the other plus that I'm seeing here is not only you've actually got room below it,
Yeah, there's a workbench below that.
you
Yeah.
know, because if you had a cabinet that sat on the floor, you wouldn't even have all that space.
Yeah.
You know, so that's actually.
So.
And it's on a French cleat too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can move it.
Yeah.
I'd have to empty it, but you can move it. Yeah.
Have you bought another tool and it not fit?
That's why we have the other cabinets.
Yeah, that's.
Alright.
That's what I was saying.
It was a valid question.
No, that's why I was saying you shouldn't buy another plane, because then it won't fit in.
No.
It needs a build another cabinet.
Well, that's over here.
He's gonna have one of these as his medicine cabinet in his bathroom next, but else it's gonna be full of planes.
Yeah.
Where's your number 7?
Table, and I saw Jet make some metal underneath here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put like 735 on it and my big combo sander belt and, the big grizzly. So it's gonna be 300 pounds worth of tools. Has anyone tried the Jet metal one? Anyone seen that in real life?
Where like it flips like 180
It's just a flip top, yeah. It's
Somebody built one and put it on the forum once.
A million people build them out of plywood. I just don't trust that.
You can find those Craftsman 3-ways on Marketplace like all the time for $50, and they can't be. I look at them and I'm just astounded that people sell them for so little. So they might be awful, but I've seen people with 735s on those too. It's like a triangle that you can do 3 ways, and I've seen people with big heavy things on them. They've Craftsman must have sold a zillion of them in like 86 or something. They're not made.
What are they made out of?
Stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're metal.
Yeah.
I think
No, I
they're
think they're
metal,
metal.
and I think it's like a plywood for where you mount the
But
tools.
it might be a cheap test.
What you're saying you don't trust plywood, I would say which I would trust more depends entirely on what thickness and grade of plywood and what gauge of steel, right? I mean, I would trust 3/4 inch plywood over, over 18 gauge sheet metal with folded edges anyway. But sure, if you've got, 3/16 plate, yeah.
Well, that's why I was wondering what
that's
it's seen.
what it is.
How much is it? $300. So that's right at that point where you're like, is it that good or is it not? Yeah. I haven't found a place that's got it on display yet, so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things you'd like to see display in a store. somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what you really want to see is a display that has been up in the store for a few years and had people banging on it.
Well, I mean, I'm willing to reinforce it and stuff, but, you know, like you said, I want to see what gauge it is.
My pictures, although my points already been taken.
What was that? Did you get the picture I sent? It was like the day after you posted that.
You sent it to
To the board. Yeah.
I don't know that.
You do.
Oh, I do.
It's forced to be.
Oh,
Just go to email.
you know what,
Right there. Or in that one, right there. Here it is.
Okay, three quick points, one of which has already been made, but I'll still make it. So it will be more than three. Some of the public libraries have books on shop design. They are not necessarily worth a lot of money, but they're worth $0 if you still have a public library and you can, do the interlibrary loan. They're absolutely worth flipping through. There's a couple I would probably buy if I was designing a shop, but even the ones from the 80s still have a couple of good lessons. So that's a thing that's relatively cheap. One of the things they will encourage you to do is get out graph paper or computer and actually even if you feel like you know it, to cut out the little thing, it is worth doing that. Or if you're proficient enough with SketchUp or any other modeling thing, even if you think it's good, it is worth redoing it because there are areas where you're making some mistake that if you look at it top down. And yet, the point I want to make is if you do graph paper or you do it, and obviously in SketchUp you can rotate things, but you get really rectilinear, and the answer in a lot of times is to go diagonal. This is not that small, it's another 2-car, but guess what the longest axis is? See exactly where that blade is.
Yeah, no, you're right, though. You're not wrong.
It causes some problems, right? And in retrospect, a number of people at various meetings have suggested making all of the surfaces very maniacally the same height. Historical me did not know that enough, so everything's different height, and I don't actually want the bench at that height. Okay, final thing, many of these items are on wheels, but this comes from I forget his name, the guy that suggests making the really big traditional benches out of cork. Yeah, out of Southern Yellow Pine. This is a very heavy bench. This is out of maple, not hard maple, but cheap maple. It's very heavy. It is absolutely shovable. It is not like I'm going to move at 90 degrees every time, but I had this impression that I was never going to be able to move my workbench ever again, so I had to get it perfect. Versus I just occasionally, okay, we got to do this other operation, and moving it 4 times a year is so.
I have another suggestion for moving a bench that's ridiculously heavy. I screwed up my back once and made to work in a workbench because I moved it in the way, and then I did something silly like getting in the car and throwing my back. I used a car jack, low profile car jack, worked really well for moving those things.
Yeah. I don't lift it, I just shove it.
I know.
I can shove it enough inches that.
Hey, Jared, your new motorcycle lift will get under the end of
Yeah,
that just
exactly.
fine.
Why not use the flip-up wheels that they sell for workbenches?
So I don't like the idea of it ever moving when I don't want it to move.
Like
And
the
I-
side mounted ones.
And I don't want maybe incorrectly, I don't want anything in those other spaces.
But the
you
side
can-
mounted ones, you're always sitting on the floor unless you're moving.
And
Right, so
But you're right.
I could
yeah,
be wrong,
it'd be
but the
expansion.
mounting position.
they're also removable.
yeah.
You can just slide them right out, so.
They have brackets for
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so,
a good idea.
right,
Mine
not
were-
necessarily irrational.
They don't worry about when you lift up one leg, you're racking the thing, and then you lift up the other. I mean,
Well, that's why you put the
that's why
bar
you
between
get-
so you get your boat.
Yeah, absolutely, I think.
You have a weight limit. I have a 4x8 plywood. I built April Wilkinson's ultimate workbench plans,
Mhm.
and she specs out those quick release lift up and downs ones. They do have over a certain span or certain geometry. You will that's the current problem I have. My workbench is immobile and blocking half my one stall shop.
because the workbench torsioned in a way when I was raising and lowering the wheels that it pulled one of them right off one of the legs. And the whole thing is immobile now, not moving, and I need to take it apart. Yeah.
So I got a question about this. So does anybody know about the bulk?
I was just gonna bring that
Okay,
up.
so
Stefan.
absolutely awesome design. This guy that ran probably a high-end cabinetry, finished carpenter out of a back of a truck. Anyway, this beautiful design. So this is actually a workbench. They have this system where they lock together, and then it has these folding workbenches. So that before I moved back to Michigan, that was my workbench. And so they're like not a torsion box, but torsion boxy. And the reason they've got these cutouts is so that they can store stuff. They've also got a bunch of holes so they can collect just inordinate amounts of dust that you can't clean out. So put your practice.
But I thought that lead vice, why no end vice or wagon?
Oh,
Just to get to it.
well, in the back of the picture, there's one sitting in a box,
Okay.
maybe some.
Has anybody used an inclined metal gear vice? You know, talk about inclined turbo vice. So it's an end vice and it's got metal gears in it. It's got 2 speeds. It's
Is
very
this the
gimmicky
thing
and
by,
very beautiful.
something Klein?
Inclined, yeah, by
Yeah.
Mr. Klein.
Yeah, Mr. Klein, Andrew Klein.
Andrew Klein, yes.
Seen it, never used it.
It looks so cool.
The kind of smaller workshop, this guy really worth checking out his site. Because he lives out of a big van, because he does most of his work, I believe, on site, and it's pretty interesting, all the stuff he's got there. And how he really does a good job with space.
Right.
And a lot of it, like his workbench is set up with dog holes and stuff for like a router table. You can put a router table on it. And now all of a sudden you got your router table, but then you do it's just like, pretty darn inventive, what he's done.
So I just now having the idea that actually applies to the whole beginning part of the meeting, which is there have been probably a dozen, hey, you should check out so-and-so's such, like this, like someone was saying about a particular guy for casters earlier. I mean, there's all these things. Is there any way, and I would like, I feel like I'm not probably the right person to do the whole thing. I'd be happy to help with the writing down, but the hard part with this sort of thing is organizing the way it's actually used to the point. I would love for there to be
You could post up to the forum, most people, you
Well,
just
yeah,
ask around. That's what we-
well, so asking, sure, is one way to do it, but I'm thinking about, what did we talk about? I was at a meeting about small shop, and there was a thing, and I can't remember what it was, sort of like meeting minutes, but focused on everything was talked about. Okay. So
How about just putting a pad up there and people could write down what they were and what they are, and we can take a picture and throw it on the website. It'd take about 2 minutes to do that.
Yeah, the fact that it's recorded, you could roll the thing through Whisper and search the transcript too.
Yeah, a little history here. Originally, when this club started, we had a website, a true website. And the host that we had it on at one time sold the domain, or not our domain, but the website.
The host provider.
To a company called Tapatalk. So we don't really have as much control as somebody that owned a website. Okay. And the other thing is, if we ever wanted to move it to another website, but all of the members' information, everything there, we would lose. Because they've got it locked up, so we're in fact, we cannot, we can't do anything.
I'm sure there's a way around that, but not necessarily an easy. certainly not necessarily, I mean, probably what they want is they want you to pay them, but you might be able to get away with paying them for one month to get the data out and then.
Well, no, you can't get the data out.
You can't, but this is a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
This
We
is
thought.
deep-seated in somebody having.
Terrible. We had a real website. With, you know. But.
No, seriously.
What is this form that you're referring to?
SEMIWW .org. Yeah, like, there's the forum. We also have a Facebook page. People post up. I don't know if people use it. No, not many people use it.
Classifieds are awesome on it.
Yeah. You find random things like mortars or the sheer pins.
Yeah.
Great deals.
It works. Answer sheet.
The other bad.
I think he's just, I think he's doing a pull up on that here.
He took a nail to the first one, just cut clean through.
So has anybody not had a chance? Anybody got something they wanna call out there or?
I have a question for
Okay.
anybody. So my miter saw now lives on an awful stand on a wall that has a bunch of traps and boxes on it. Of the whole place that is gonna be 26 feet that I'm calling Miter's Row. And it's going to be lowers with a miter saw plug right in the middle of it because I'm dumb and think that that's important. And I'm gonna have 13 feet on either side of the blade. But I have lots of little tools like an oscillating spindle sander and a Craig Foreman and a whole bunch of things that have small tables and would really benefit by having big tables, because let's say you want to use a Foreman on a long shelf, it's annoying. Or let's say you want to use anything on an oscillating spindle sander with a 12 by 12, it's annoying. So I'm gonna kind of like find a spot in there where I can make another sort of removable shelf as part of the cabinet, where I can dump all these things on their own spot so that they're kind of flush to the top of that shelf. I didn't know if anybody had done that. What if, people thought like on something like that, how much space do you want? I have another wall in my shop that I've kind of also thought, boy, I could kind of make the middle a removable area for this, where I could have 10 feet on either side of whatever it is that I'm throwing in there.
So
that's the thing you don't see a lot.
You have 26 feet of it. Why are you making them removable? Why not just build them all in and make?
Well, because when you build 4 tools in, now all of a sudden you have 3 feet on either side of everything instead of.
No,
8
the
feet
tool you
on
are
every-
using is in the way of the in feet and out feet of.
So, like the Foreman has a big handle and a dumb little fence that would always be proud of the tabletop. The oscillating spindle sander, you can take the spindle out, but now you're taking the spindle out every time you're doing it, as opposed to just leaving it there. Lots of things have things that are proud of the bench top.
Okay.
I mean, a router table. I have often thought I would put my router table like my router top in an assembly table or in my outfeed table. But boy, if you've got a big long bench top, do you ever need to get to the back of your router table? Like I always think, man, I need to be able to go back there behind the fence someday when I'm doing something crazy with something big. Boy, if it's just sitting there against the wall, you ever need to move it out from the wall, like.
So
I don't
you
know.
have your bench top tools behind your fence, just put it on a plywood platform with sliders, you gotta remove just the fence and then they slide forward.
Sort of, yeah, but I mean, some things have, like the Foreman, I don't think the fence comes off, maybe the fence comes off, I don't know, what's
What
that?
about the fence up? You've got your long fence, 13 feet on both
Oh,
sides.
no, that's it, I'm gonna put a T-track in there and have a stop, there's no need to have a fence with a miter table that's longer than
On
the
a
fence
full
with the miter.
extension slider and just slide them forward when you wanna use them.
That would take a lot of countertop. You only have, I don't wanna have a
Well,
bigger.
that's
countertop.
actually what I do. And stuff like your spindle sander, you should put that on a piece of plywood.
Yeah.
And you screw it to the plywood. And my miter table is 2 feet wide.
Sure.
And most of those things are only a foot wide. And the way the miter saw is set up is that even though the miter saw is up against the wall, the actual blade part, it is out the first 12 inches.
Yeah.
And the back 12 inches is the back of the miter saw, and that's all wasted space.
Yeah.
So I like that baby bandsaw that you saw in my picture,
Yeah.
and the sander.
Sure.
Those are on pieces of plywood. When I want to use them, I slide them forward and I get 2 clamps, and I clamp the plywood to the the top of the miter table. Okay,
Sure.
and then when I'm done using it, I just push them back against the wall. And when they're back against the wall,
They have to drop.
you can still cut your wood.
See, that, no, I think that's what's different about
You
this
get
one.
12-inch space behind, so it pushes it behind.
So-
Yeah.
Then you have clarity.
But what you guys are missing is.
Flip table.
My tops, your
Flip table.
So that I all of a sudden have, no, flip table doesn't work in a countertop. I want to use the countertop as taking my spindle sander table 18 feet wide.
Okay, so
And I want to have.
Jacob had the idea of flip tables, and here's how you can make a flip table. It's not a flip table, it's a flip box where this delivering